The great black bulk of Darkenwald's hall rose beyond this, the shaft of its single watchtower piercing the sky. Within the hall, Aislinn sat upon the rush-covered floor before the chair from which her father, the late Lord of Darkenwald, had ruled his fief. A rough rope was knotted about her slender neck. It bound her, by its length, to the left wrist of a tall, dark Norman, who rested his mail-clad frame upon the rough-hewn symbol of Lord Aillinn's status. Ragnar de Mart watched as his men tore the hall apart in a rampaging search for the smallest item of value, climbing the stairs to the bedchambers, slamming heavy doors open in their search, rummaging through coffers, then casting, on a cloth spread before him, the more worthy trophies. Aislinn recognized her jewelled dagger and gold filigree girdle, torn from her hips only a short time ago, thrown into the pile among the other treasures that had graced her home. Arguments broke out among the men over some coveted piece, but were quickly silenced when her captor issued a sharp command. Usually, the object of the squabble was grudgingly added to the growing heap before him. Ale flowed freely, liberally swilled by the invaders, and meats, breads, and whatever else was at hand were devoured upon discovery. This iron-thewed knight of William's horde who held her tipped his own hollowed bull's horn and freely sampled the wine that filled it, unconcerned that her father's blood still darkened the mail on his chest and arms. When nothing else occupied him, the Norman worked the rope, causing the rough strands to brutally test the soft white skin of Aislinn's throat. Each time the harsh chafing brought a grimace of pain to her features. He chuckled cruelly at having wrung some reaction from her, and his victory seemed to ease his morose mood. Still, to see her cringe and beg for mercy would have far better suited him. Her manner remained alert and watchful, and when she faced him, it was with a calm defiance that rankled him. Others would have grovelled at his feet and pleaded for his pity. But this maid, there was something about her which seemed to take a slight advantage from him each time he jerked the tether. He could not fathom the depths of her reserve, but determined he would test it well before the night was out. He had found her with her mother, the Lady Maida, poised in the hall, when he and his men crashed through the heavy door, as if the two of them would stand against the whole invading Norman army. His bloody sword ready in his hand, he had paused just inside the door, while his men hurried past him to search for others willing to fight for their own. But finding nothing more than these two, and the barking, snarling hounds to greet them, they lowered their weapons. With a few well-placed kicks and blows, they subdued the dogs, and chained them in a corner, then turned to the women who fared no better. His cousin, Vachel de Comte, stepped toward the girl, intent upon seizing her for his own. But instead he encountered Maida, who threw herself into his path, seeking to stay him from her daughter. He tried to push the older woman aside, but her clawing fingers found his short knife, and she would have snatched it from its sheath. But he felt the grasp, and swinging his heavy gauntleted fist, laid her flat. With a cry, Aislinn had fallen to her mother's side, and before Vachel could claim her, Ragnar moved between and yanked away her snood, spilling free a shining mass of coppery hair. The Norman knight twisted his hand in it and drew her struggling to her feet. He dragged her behind him to a chair and threw her into it, tying her wrists and ankles to the heavy wooden structure so that she could interfere no more. Maida was dragged, still stunned, and lashed securely at her daughter's feet. Then the two knights joined their men in the sacking of the town. Now the girl sat at his feet, defeated and near the grey hinterlands of death. Still, she mouthed no pleas or words for clemency. Ragnar knew a moment of uncertainty as he recognized that she possessed a strength of will few men had. But Ragnar had no inkling of the battle that raged within Aislinn in her effort to quell her trembling and present a